Welcome to Game Changer Live, presented by ConnorsCoaching.com. If you like what we bring, please log into YouTube, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on the video to help us grow. We're created to inspire community with topics of positivity, coaching, personal development, emotional intelligence, business-to-business services, applied practical neuroscience, leadership development, workplace culture, engagement, and more. We are live every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And guests join us the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month to talk about their business. Together, we believe we're better and inspire ourselves to each be the best version of ourselves. I'm Daniel Connor, and I'm the owner of Connor's Coaching. Leaders partner with me to increase their connection to their teams, inspire greatness, improve their coaching skills, and to get a valuable third-person perspective on their decision-making to be more conscious, human-first leaders. Today, we're talking about leadership style, which is one of the things that Connor's Coaching partners with businesses for. Leadership style is basically how leaders talk to folks. And I want to kind of present to you two paths, if you will, two completely opposite paths. So we have leader A. Leader A manages the numbers, manages the productivity, manages the metrics. They're really focused on numbers. They believe what gets measured gets managed because that's what they've been told to do. They don't tolerate emotional disruption at work. They work really well in a crisis, so much so that a crisis sometimes feels normal for them. They have rules for everything, and and even when those rules don't suit the situation, those rules have to be followed. Leader A has an advantage of having short-term gains, but those short-term gains oftentimes come with the cost of using people up like a resource. In fact, human resources comes from leader A treating humans like coal that needs to be shoveled in a furnace. Leader B Leader B knows that people are what drive business, that people respond better to their community. And they know that they can't do everything on their own. They know how to delegate important tasks. They believe that every person who reports to them is a human being first. They know that they have a flawed system of storytelling that interprets the behaviors and actions of other people, and that allows them to consciously be curious about the truth rather than focusing on the interpretation of the story. Leader B motivates people. Leader B challenges his community to grow. And leader B oftentimes has long-term gains with a little bit of difficulty getting up and running and also trouble with crisis management. Both of these leaders, they're both the same person. They're different paths to the same objective, and that objective is to motivate people to do something. So if one has short-term gains but long-term pains and the other one is the complete opposite, which one do leaders choose? And why do they only have to choose one? We believe at Connors Coaching that every single employee, every single viewer of this channel, every single person out there is a human that has complex emotional needs and drives, that has ridiculously complex personal lives, that they have to manage and balance with work, and that work has an emotional toll on people when they're not doing something that they're inspired to do. Work is better when we're inspired by their mission. I know because I have found my mission here. And it feels so much better to follow that personal drive and that personal mission. You have endless amounts of energy in order to do that, compared to forcing yourself to trudge along and handle crisis by crisis as it comes at you. So today we're going to talk about how to become a human being first manager and what that means. And really, this comes down to emotional intelligence. So, emotional intelligence, just so that we're clear, and we're kind of using the early 80s construct created by Daniel Goleman here in his book Emotional Intelligence and his later work Emotional Intelligence 2.0. But we're taking a step back from it because there are some pitfalls there. Emotional intelligence tends to lead towards leadership B style. And leadership B style really is good in the long run. It has lower risks and higher rewards in the long run, but in the short term or in crisis situations, it tends to be a less effective solution. And there are studies by Gallup that shows that there's no direct link between emotional awareness and or emotional intelligence and um, good leadership styles. But leadership is all about leading people. We know that people respond well to other people. So, what we have to do is we have to balance it. And I believe that each and every single manager that's out there has the potential to be aware and consciously act and behave in a situation without all of these constructs of behavior, without saying, oh, I have to respond to this specific issue with this type of management. Rather, just be present and listen to the situation and respond with your heart because you're a human being and human beings follow other human beings. Human beings are designed to be a cultural, creative society. We create constructs around everything. And those constructs, which we create in our mind and in our society, are what control our behaviors. The fewer constructs that you put in front of you and your management style, the more authentic, the more real, the more inspiring you will be. So, when we are talking about this authenticity, that's why the original Daniel Goleman model of emotional intelligence works so well. Because the very first box in his quadrant of emotional intelligence is self awareness. Self awareness is your empathy towards yourself, it's your belief in who you are, it's being aware of how your emotional states are affecting your judgments. It's being aware of those stories and those constructs that you're telling and creating for the world around you. And then knowing all of those things on a conscious level leads you to the second and third boxes. The second box is self control, self mastery. It's taking advantage of all of that information and putting it into use. Where for the third box, that's social awareness. That's your awareness of the behaviors of others and your interpretation of those behaviors. Like it or not, when someone does something at work, let's say they're taking a lunch break, you're telling yourself a story. And that story could be very close to the truth. They're hungry. It's their assigned lunch hour. Or it could be an effect of the constructs that you've created for yourself. So maybe you tell yourself the story that, hey, have they been at that lunch hour for more than their allotted time? Are they taking advantage of me? You don't know, but you tell yourself a story and it's easy to believe those stories. So a conscious leader chooses to be curious about that story and ask to see if it's true. And that can look very similar to the way that you would behave if that story was true. So you have to be really careful here. Do you charge up to that person at their lunch break and say, hey, how long have you been here? Or do you say, hey, how's it going today? What are you having for lunch? Be curious. Okay, let it go. Because they're a human being and they need to eat and they're doing something productive. They're recharging for their work. So with these boxes, they all lead to the fourth box in emotional intelligence, which is basically your influence over the world around you or the control that you have over the environment. And that's the point of management, right? Management is all about leading people inspiring them to do something or motivating them to do something, or your leader A manipulating them through fear and intimidation to do something. When we're looking at uh, the Daniel Goleman model for emotional intelligence, it all starts with self awareness. And self awareness is so difficult to do if you are embedded in the story. And we build authentic leaders all the time. The best way to do that is through a third party, like a coach, which is what I am. And so um, the whole point of this episode is to inspire leaders to be curious about the potential for developing their own leadership styles. If you're interested in developing your own leadership style, reach out to me. Go to my website, connorscoaching.com. It's CONNERS, coaching.com, and book a free discovery call, and we'll talk some more about it and what that would look like. Um, but we believe that mentorship and coaching are the ideal ways to improve everyone's emotional intelligence. And we have a specific tool that not very many people are licensed to use, that we're licensed to use, and that is the Energy Leadership Index. The Energy Leadership Index is listed by Gallup as one of the top 3 assessments that every executive or every leader should have. Right behind their own proprietary system, Clifton Strengths. And what energy leadership does is it creates a basically model for consciousness, a model for awareness, and a model for how your emotions are affecting your situation. And you can see exactly where leader A goes on this chart of self-awareness, why they're where they are. And by being more aware of where you are, you naturally move more towards a leader B situation. There's a lot of proprietary information there, information that I'm not going to be broadcasting live on my channel. However, basically, how you see the world around you impacts the way that you handle the world. The way that you deal with any situation is based off of your perception of that situation. The more conscious you are of the truth of the situation, the more natural your reaction to it is going to be, to feel, and how it's going to resonate with other people. Because as you go up in the chart, the more self-aware you are, also the more aware of your surroundings you are. So there is that. And my leadership packages all include a free ELI with the option of increasing that to an ELI 360. So 360s are a great way of getting feedback from your team so that you can be more aware of how they perceive you. How you perceive yourself is far more important, but how other people perceive you can help inform your decisions of how you're showing up, because perspective is limited to your own 2 eyes looking outward. You can't see what's behind you. So if a leader is interested in doing this, what are some of the benefits? Well, it comes down to the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? Leader A is the hare in this story, and leader A is really good at that short-term sprint, but expends a lot of energy to get the same distance as leader B. Leader B just takes a little longer. And then leader B still has energy to move on and move forward because they haven't expended anything. They've expended less energy to get the same results, not as quickly. Let that sink in for a second. What would it be like if you had to expend 50% less energy to do anything in your life, let alone inspire other people to do it for you? Now, it does feel like a lot of work. To look that deeply in yourself, you have to deal with a lot of emotions. Not everyone is in a space where they're ready to deal with those emotions. But those people who are can truly transform their leadership style and truly inspire the people around them. This is going to be a shorter episode today because it is. One of the things that we do here at Game Changer is we want to make sure that what we talk about is succinct, entertaining, and informed. Um, so I want to thank you guys so much for watching us. And since you stuck around this long, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and comment about what you enjoyed about our episode today. And next week at 3:30 p.m., join me and my guest Daniel Prince as he talks about his coaching business. And we will see you then. Bye. Okay. I really need to work on my exit because I have to push buttons and it's difficult to do while I'm also talking. So, thanks.